The principles of exemplary exercise execution for optimal muscle stimulation, fat loss, and injury prevention are as follows. 1. Initiate with the working muscle. Whatever exercise you're performing, it's paramount that you initiate the movement with the intended target muscle. If doing a standing bicep curl, initiate the movement with a bicep, not by swinging your hips. 2. Lock it down, no momentum. This principle carries on from the last. Stand proud, as Ben Pakulski says. Lock your body down and only contract the muscles you wish to isolate. If performing lateral delt raises, don't use the momentum from your legs to raise the weight. You can sit on a bench to restrict the ability of your legs assisting if necessary for exercises like bicep curls and shoulder press, etc. 3. Follow the arc. One of the ways of causing progressive overload is by creating biomechanical muscular disadvantages. This means moving the weight through the most challenging range we can, which most often is an arc, as opposed to straight up and down, and an arc. Slightly altering the position of our levers, our arms and legs, we can place more tension in our muscles without needing to add more weight or reps. 4. Control the tempo. Don't stop in the resting part of an exercise. Maintain a continuous tempo. This would be the up portion of a squat or arms outstretched for a bench press. 5. Constant tension. Maintain constant tension on your muscles. Don't lock out your joints, as this will allow the weight to rest on your skeletal structure, removing tension from your muscles. Move to the point just shy of lockout, ensuring you have tension throughout the full range of the movement. Aim for at least 30 seconds plus of tension per set. 6. Full range of movement. Work your muscles through a full range. This means fully lengthening and shortening your muscles. Save partial reps for special circumstances. Ensure your standard repetitions are working through the flexion and extension range of your muscles. A bicep curl from the bottom to the top, not just the top or bottom range. You may need to perform multiple exercises from different angles to achieve a full range of movement. 7. Mind-muscle connection. Develop a strong mind-muscle connection by thinking intensely about the muscle you're working during the exercise. You should be thinking of nothing other than performing each rep to the best of your ability. If you can't feel your target muscle working, you're doing it wrong. Stop, use a lighter weight, and focus your entire mind on being present inside the muscle while contracting it. You'll improve with perfect practice. And we have 8. Focus on the negatives. Slow down your negatives or eccentric portion of the exercise, as this is where the most muscle damage occurs and you're concomitantly the strongest. The concentric or positive portion of the exercise is the up in a squat, the up in a bench press, the pulling down on a lat pull down, and the extension of a tricep press. The eccentric or negative is the opposite. In terms of strength, you're weakest in the positive, stronger isometrically, which means holding a weight without movement, and you're strongest in the negative. Concentric contractions involve muscle shortening, while eccentric contractions involve muscle lengthening. And we have 9. Muscular contractions. When performing exercises, don't think about moving the weight from point A to B. Think about contracting the muscle you're working and the weight moving as a result. It sounds like a little change, but when you try it, you'll experience the difference. First exercise, I'm showing you a calf press on a hack squat. So I've got 160 kilos on there, and it's important you find the right foot position. You want to get your foot in a spot that's comfortable and powerful enough to drop your heels as far as you can go, which is getting a big stretch, and up as high as you can as a ballerina. So what this is doing is moving your calves through a full range of motion, one of the principles of exemplary exercise execution. So I'm going to show you the opposite of a full range of motion right now, and they are partial reps, which have a time and a place. They should not be your staple. You need ideally to go through a full range of motion. I was done there, that's it. I was buggered. Oh, my calves are burning. Okay, next, this is a seated shoulder press. And I actually didn't notice my mobility until I watched this video. My left side isn't as mobile as my right. That's something I need to work on and address. And you want to be moving through your mobile range, not your flexible range, because when you put the dumbbells in your hands, you can go past your mobile range because you now have an external force, weight and gravity, taking your joint further than its internal muscular forces can permit it to do. And so what I'm showing you there is following the arc, lifting in the arc, which is another principle of exemplary exercise execution. So it's not just up and down like this. I see this very common. That's a little bit exaggerated, but people will drop the dumbbells in, but you want to have a 45-degree angle, even a little bit further, and you're moving around in an arc because it's harder. It creates a muscular disadvantage because the weight is further away from the joint. It's called a longer moment arm. And so I'm just showing you now, hands turned in, and that's if you do have injured shoulders, that can really help to prevent some of the pain that can occur if you have your hands just facing right forwards. So if you do have sore shoulders, just test and adjust and try and move them around and find the right position. And here, lifting and moving the benches, any barbells, weight plates with correct form. Don't just have perfect form whenever you're lifting your weights and just totally forget about it, especially on the last rep and when using other things and moving around other things like the dumbbells and putting them back on the rack. You want to make sure you have close to perfect form as often as possible. So here I'm showing you how to set up correctly for a bench press by pulling your shoulder blades back and then pressing. You're going to get a better pec contraction and you're going to protect your shoulder joints as well. Just different feet positions. Find what's comfortable for you, the correct way to press. I'm coming around my nipple height because if you go too much higher or too much lower, it puts your joints in a very bad position and you're not going to be able to exercise if you break your shoulder. So now I'm demonstrating incorrect tempo. This is way too fast. Way too fast. Obviously, it's a very lightweight just for demonstration purposes. But if you have a heavier barbell and you're doing it too quickly, well, it's not going to be maximally efficient for hypertrophy. You need to slow down, especially those negatives. I like to go faster and more explosive on the positives, and when you have a heavy weight that you can only get approximately 10 or less reps, it doesn't move up very fast, but you're trying to move it up as explosively and as powerfully as you possibly can. I think of it like rugby. I don't like rugby, but it's a good example. When you're tackling someone, boom, you want to tackle them really hard. But if you're getting tackled, you don't want to just fall over. You want it to be very slow, like, or if they're pushing against you, just one step back, not just going flying. So imagine the up portion of an exercise like tackling someone, and the down portion of the exercise is like you're stopping someone from pushing you over. So it's slower and more controlled. That's the tempo I really like to think about, and it works well for me. So if you translate this into actual time, I'd say 2 seconds on the way up or the concentric, ideally 2 to 4 seconds on the eccentric, but I really don't get hung up on counting seconds. Just maintain the principle, faster up, slower down. If you're going too fast on the way down, just slow it down. So this is an incorrect bicep curl, and it's violating the principles of initiating with the working muscle and locking it down, because I'm initiating here with my lower back, my glutes, my legs, and I'm using momentum. That is definitely not locking it down or standing proud. You want to initiate from the working muscle, and if I'm trying to work my biceps, it's my bicep that is the working muscle, because all I'm trying to do is elbow flex my elbow joint, and that's what the bicep is responsible for, along with forearm supination. And so you can see I'm traveling in an arc. I'm not going just up and down. I'm moving around an arc. I'm trying to keep the bar as far away from me as possible to make it as hard as possible, to create those mechanical disadvantages, which are going to put more stress and tension into the muscle, which means we can work it harder with requiring less weight, which is really cool. And so that's still a bit of movement and swinging. You'd definitely like to avoid. That's too much there. Some people can lift up their elbows, not that much, that's an exaggeration, but to get a bit more of a bicep squeeze. But it depends on how you feel in your shoulder joint, whether you're capable of doing that with correct form or not. The first bicep curl with those dumbbells I showed was a hammer curl, where you have the dumbbells in a neutral position. So try this at home. Flex your elbow or flex your bicep like this while having your hand pronated, so with your palm pointing down. Touch your bicep, it barely contracts at all. Now supinate it with your palm facing up and you go, holy crap, wow. Okay, there's a big difference. So if you're directly trying to target your bicep, make sure you're